Hello there and welcome to another episode of 4TimsWeekly podcast. It's a full complement of us tonight. We're here on Monday the 8th of November. It's the day after Celtic won 4-2 up at Dens Park to defeat Dundee. It was a double for Kyogo and a double for Jota. So we'll just get straight right into it. Danny, it was a really good performance, I thought, yesterday. I thought a lot of the attacking football was good. I thought the second Kyogo goal was absolutely stunning. And Celtic just done what they would have wanted to do going in the international break and took another 3 points of the league. And it's starting to come together. I think that's 7 wins out of the last 8 games. Obviously, we had the disappointment against Livingston. But how did you find yesterday's performance?
I thought it was very, very good yesterday. I thought it was a great performance. I thought the whole team, again, no letdowns. I thought everybody had a good game, and I thought the 4 goals were great. I thought the first goal was obviously a bit of a little bit of deflection, tossed back to Jota, but I thought we were very, very good for large parts of the game. And I know it's difficult to take the every game out of context because it was such a kick in the stones because we've been doing so well, but like 8 games and we're in crack form, and it's been a good from the Aberdeen game till now. It's been really, really good. Bar that one game, I mean, we're talking about a penalty away for a missed penalty, a scored penalty away for like 8 out of 8. We're starting to take real good shape under Ange, and I don't even think we're nearly there yet. I still think there's things in the iron out, of course, but we're going forward. Like I said it on Thursday night against Ferencváros, every time Celtic cross the halfway line, I genuinely think we're going to score. The front three that we've got is as good a front line Celtic we've had in years, and it's not just like, I know, like over the years, right? You had like Griffiths had a season who scored 40 goals, but nobody else scored that season. Like Edward has a good seasons, and Forrest and that have chipped in, but like we've got all 3 of them now. Like Abada scored goals, Jota scored goals there yesterday. Jota and Kyogo get 2 each. They're all sharing the goals. They all set each other up as well. They're all selfless players. Whereas maybe my criticism of players like Edward and Christie and Forrest and Sinclair and that was that they were too greedy at times. This front 3 is just so selfless. They all work hard for the team, and like again, the second goal, Kyogo's like the smallest guy in the box and he scores where he does. It's just phenomenal play. I said it the other night, but he's the closest thing we'll ever get to replacing Larson. He's just, there's something about him. I don't know what it is. There's something about him as a player. He's just phenomenal, and kind of like Larson. Larson came to us at 24, 25 maybe. You're getting a player that's maybe been shunned by bigger clubs in Europe. Maybe teams have had a look at Kyogo over the years and thought, not for us, but we're making a lot of, like, we'll take that, it's our gain. He's been so good, and about a month ago we were talking about how away from home we crumble. Well, we've won 5 of our last 5 away games, and we've looked really comfortable in them all. So there's definitely been progress made, and it just makes last week a wee bit more frustrating because you think how good we were playing, but to answer back with 2 away wins and then the manner of the wins, playing the way that we've played is very, very good.
Absolutely, as you say, obviously last week was a disappointment. Despite the overall good form recently, I don't think anybody's going to hide from that. But Tony, as Danny said, Celtic have reacted the exact way you would have. An impressive win in Budapest, and then yet again yesterday at one point it looked like Celtic were going to score every time they went forward. How did you find yesterday's performance?
But going forward, it was superb. I thought they were excellent. The goals we conceded are poor. Joe Hart's awful for the second. He'll know that himself, and I don't think Wells covers himself in glory for the first. But apart for that, we were very, very comfortable. Anthony Ralston, need to give him a shout out. Obviously, got his new deal. I thought he was fantastic. I thought his crossing, which is something that has irritated me, I thought it was much improved. and we got great results for his play, and he kind of was involved in quite a few of the goals. The fourth goal is Celtic for me. That is the kind of football Celtic should be playing. Really just outstanding. Jota's an exceptional talent. That guy seems to get better every time I see him. Takes players on for fun, can pass, can shoot, can dribble. He's really a kind of all-round great player. Kyogo, I think he's already scored 13 goals for us. You can see him, as long as he remains injury-free, hitting 30-odd this season. It's been a joy to watch, and the one thing for sure is the players have bought into the manager, they've bought into his ideas. They seem to be really enjoying it. There's a real unity. Even at the end of games, the fans are singing about Postecoglou, they're singing and dancing and everything else, and it's brilliant to watch. We've still got a long way to go. We've not won it this season. We're still obviously a few points behind in the league, but I think for where we came for this time last season, where we're the new, you can see the progression. You can see the football the manager wants to play, and I think we can only keep improving. When we come back for this international break, we'll probably get one of Postecoglou's biggest games yet, when he goes to Hampden to try and get us into a League Cup final, which would probably be against Rangers, but it could be against Hibs. So a really exciting time coming up. A lot of football. Still in the running for the Europa League. Obviously going to Leverkusen. We probably will need to get a result there. It won't be easy, but I think the team will have learned for that last game against Leverkusen, and we seem to improve kind of month on month. But no, apart from the goals we conceded, I mean, to go away and score 4 goals when we're on form, as Danny says, you do think we're going to score every time we got up the pitch. And it could have been a lot more. Giamakis could have had a hat-trick when he came on, but obviously we changed the front line, and it does slow it down a bit. I mean, Kyogo, Jota and Abada are much better options than Forrest, Johnston and Giamakis for me at the minute. But no, I've not really got any complaints. I'm just sad it's the international break. As long as everybody comes back without an injury, that will satisfy me.
Absolutely, it's always the biggest concern when we've got so many players that do go. Andy, as Tony mentioned there, the goals that we did concede yesterday weren't great, but I think one thing that's really irritating me now is the fact that you've got a lot of pundits in the media, on Sky, on Clyde, who seem to have a fucking hard on for going after our defence, but even missing guys like Greg Taylor, Chris Julian, and Carol Starfelt, of course, recently, like, this defence is still the best in the league. And like, I just thought, and although the goals were poor yesterday, we did concede, it still, I think the criticism's a bit over the top. But what's your thoughts on the defence and just in general yesterday?
I mean, the game yesterday, obviously, when the team line came out, we all knew, roughly, I think most days would have guessed that was going to be the team lineup. Like you say, like, the defence itself is it's massively improved. It's came on leaps and bounds. But I think when you're looking at it realistically, you've still got a right back and a left back. Welsh coming in. Obviously, I know he played against Ferencváros, but prior to that, I hadn't played for Celtic since maybe Livingston. The time we played Livingston before, when they beat us 1-0. So, I mean, he's been out of the team for weeks and then beat on again, coming in front of them, and sort of playing that more deeper role that usually McGregor would fill. So automatically, it's a change again to the back line. So conceding, it wasn't necessarily a massive surprise to me, but it's always been sort of, for as long as I can ever remember, the media have always went after Celtic defences. Didn't matter who, when, where, why. Even when it was Van Dijk, they found something to have a go at him for. But I don't think the team, the club, if they should take any notice. I don't think they do, and I don't think the manager wouldn't allow it either. It really couldn't care any less whether what these fucking diddies want to pretend they know what they're talking about when it comes to football. As you said, we've conceded the least amount of goals in the league, but apparently we've got a terrible defence. We've also scored the most amount of goals in the league, but no doubt they'll find some fucking hole to pick in that as well. But on it itself, I thought the team done really well. As I mentioned, there's 2 players coming in who effectively play a bigger part on the defensive side of things. So automatically, I thought both teams could score here. The goals, okay, they might have been poor, but I think that's part and parcel of that. You need to look at the rest of the game. I mean, both of our goals came quick fire. Jota then Furuhashi in the first half, maybe within about 10 minutes each, and then again, second half kicks off and we get another 2 quick fire goals. What the front line is playing with a massive amount of confidence. I think it was Danny said earlier, it's one of the best front lines that we've seen in a while, and I don't think that's far off the mark at all in terms of so many players offering so much. There's been periods of time where if you looked at it when it was sort of Sinclair, Dembele and Forrest and things like that, which were, listen, Mr. Dembele, make no secret how good I think that guy is. There was sort of that fault whereby maybe Forrest wasn't offering you as much as Sinclair is, but we're starting to see where Abada's already got a barrel load of goals this season, scored again against Ferencváros, his assists. Jota's offering the same, and Furuhashi's I still can't believe that we've managed to get that boy. So it's coming together really, really well. Jota, again, he's the case is made for him. If I don't know why we've not just went and signed, sealed and delivered it already. Something in the back of my mind, Darren's telling me that the board are keeping that one for when they piss us off with something to release that at the same time to try and appease fans. But it was again good performance. There's so much positives to take away for the team, and even at that, I know we touched on. I think it was Tony said about the 3 that came on: the Giamakis, Forrest, and Johnston. Look, Johnston's a boy I was critical quite heavily before, but I think seeing him now, he's looking like a different player. He's had these wee moments here and there, but players like that always have it. And he's still a young boy, 22-year-old or something. He's still got a lot to learn as well. Forrest does sort of divide opinion, but the reality is Forrest will get you goals and he'll get you assists if you get him playing well. And I think that will come. And ultimately, James Forrest is one of the more experienced guys in the team, so he's going to help boys like Abada. That's only going to be a benefit for boys like that to sort of come on and improve, because again, another young boy, 20-year-old or something, like he's going to have wobbly moments, he's going to have half games, but for whatever you think of James Forrest as a football player, he's got bags and bags of experience, and you count on that obviously sort of bringing on boys like Abada and improving them. But listen, the Livingston result was just sort of sticks out as being a disappointment, but 7 wins out of 8 is brilliant. Particularly, you just need to look at how far we've come, and we all said all along, look, this wasn't going to be an easy road. People spoke about trying to build things back up, and I think that given the signings that we made and given how likeable sort of they are and the manager, people maybe sort of lost touch with that a wee bit, but you need to remember that is where we're at. We're still in the process of building something here. It's happening. It's thankfully happening quicker than some of us perhaps thought it would. There was a lot of sort of concessions made about maybe we're just going to need to bite the bullet this season. But if we keep going the way we're going, players keep improving, hopefully we can sort of keep injury free, can get to January in this form, and then bring another couple bodies in to bolster not only the starting 11 but the squad itself, just so when this happens we're not so much looking at a Beaton and a Welsh to come in. We're looking at sort of more assured players who fit the system better to come in. Then there's no reason why we can't push on continually and make a right good go at this league.
Absolutely, as you say, it is just about pushing on, and we got a bit excited last week when it looked like Celtic might go top of the league for any period of time, but I think a lot of people now realise if we just focus on ourselves, then we'll give ourselves a great chance. Danny, one person I have to mention again, you spoke about Kyogo, but I just wanted to, one thing that I've noticed the last few games is how he, like, it's something that I've been wanting in a Celtic player for years and years. He seems to be pretty streetwise to, if he's clattered through it or if he's any contact on him, running about the head or whatever, he goes down. And I know some people have been critical of him, and I personally, I'm all for it. Like, I think that it's about time that Celtic had somebody like that. He obviously won the penalty for the Livingston player by doing that, but it sort of confuses me that I even seen some Celtic fans yesterday a bit annoyed about it, and what was your thoughts on that?
They folk up. Listen, I think Kyogo's well within his rights to hit a deck. If somebody's going to get hit, like the boy at Livingston slapped him across the back of the head, so Kyogo had every right to go down. This is the thing with these days with like video like refs and whatever, obviously we don't get it in the league, but in Europe and stuff, if players are going to try and misleak it, then he's got every right to go down. Like, look at that night we played against Juventus in the Champions League, when every time we got a corner they were pulling us and stuff. Like, not one Celtic player hit the deck that night, and the referee just waved play on because we didn't give him a decision to make. The crowd were rolling, but if players were just standing there as if, oh, look, he's grabbing me, there were no proper protests at the ref that night. Like, somebody should have hit the deck as soon as the cross comes into the box, hit the deck, give the ref a decision to make, but no. So it's good to have a streetwise striker. However, I've seen the media, not so much the media, but more of the other side of the city and their pundits have started calling him into question. There's a particular bit of a weird guy on Twitter going after Kyogo as well. But he's just a Rangers fan. But they've got 3 people in the media now that are coming out talking about Kyogo, and it's disgusting. Rangers support have already made a fool of themselves with Kyogo. Some of them, only some of them have made a fool of themselves with Kyogo. Earlier on in the season, a group of them, and now this whole thing, like, in a couple of years you'll read about he only got abused because he dived or something, or he only got abused because he won a penalty. Like, it's complete nonsense. It's disgusting. And people like McCoyston that the last couple of games have been like, oh, really, I'm glad he was able to get up and running again after the shite that, like, fucking he'd Kyle laugh at his team, you know what I mean? Laugh at he was a fucking pussy. They've got Morelos who runs about going down at any opportunity, kicks people and all that, and it's like bonkers. And Kyogo seems to really have got under some of their skins recently, and long may it continue because he's a smashing wee player and a smashing wee guy.
You're right. I think, as you say, he's annoying all the right people, and I think it's testament to how much they fear him, the fact that they're trying to overplay this sort of reaction to some challenges that they seem to have an issue with. But Tony, one thing I know, we don't skirt around any controversial issues, but another thing that came up yesterday was November. You know what happens in November. I wasn't at Dens Park yesterday, I didn't get a ticket, but what annoyed me watching the commentary was you had the 2 pair of clowns, Ian Crocker and Andy Walker, disgusted at Celtic fans for disrupting their minute silence, and yet about 10-20 seconds later you had Dundee fans booing Celtic players taking the knee and not a word was said. And look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Celtic fans voiced their opinion, but I just think it was ridiculous the way that the commentators and that went after Celtic, and then with the protest as well, it's as if they'd never seen any sort of disruption to a game. And I think it lasted about 2 minutes, and you'd have thought it was a player had been attacked or something by a fan.
This comes up every year, and it's the same old stuff. The poppies, everybody knows, has now been turned into a kind of, I don't know, it's like a sideshow where it's who's got the biggest poppy, and you see some of these things. It's obviously about people who've died in war, and you see, like, you probably see there's a Twitter page, Poppy Watch, and it's like mascots dressed up as poppies, and you're going, in what way is that respectful to anybody? And the poppy now just seems a kind of reason to kind of look and microscope into people and go, why are you not wearing a poppy? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? And I think when you think back to kind of World War I and World War II, people fight so that you can have the freedom to express your opinions. It's not very hypocritical. I don't really get involved in it. I know it's coming every year. I know there's a section of fans who won't respect the silence. I think the song they were singing yesterday, I was listening to the radio and I was on the way to the pub, was Aidan McInnesby, an innocent man that was murdered by the British Army. So, but these commentators are never going to give the context and go, well, this is why they're booing. And Celtic have obviously got a relationship with Ireland and the Troubles and all the other wars that have come since, and Bloody Sunday. And I'm sure a lot of people listening are well clued up in that and are well aware why some people wouldn't want to do the minute silence. But again, it's every year, it's the same stuff, and people want to zoom in on it as opposed to just go and just get on with it. I mean, that's what my dad was saying as well. This didn't used to be a thing. This minute silences and poppies and jerseys, it didn't used to be this big thing. It's now kind of been blown into a bit of a phenomenon, and it's all about, I mean, I think Leicester are a bit mad for it as well, where poppies all over the stadium and on the grass, and you're thinking, it's just a bit over the top for me. And as I say, it seems like a kind of competition of who can wear the biggest poppy, as opposed to what the original meaning was, which was to respect people that died in World War I and World War II. But again, it's not really something I would pay much attention to. The protest itself, again, it's very clear. The banner that followed, again, the commentators decide not to give context and say Celtic fans don't want this guy employed because he's terrorised a lot of them, and he's led to a lot of Celtic fans ended up in kind of poor circumstances, whether it be jailed or people invading their homes or whatever it may be. The game gets stopped for 2 minutes. Obviously, you don't want the game to get stopped, but this is, I mean, I read some of the pages on Facebook and some of the comments about the Green Brigade I find utterly frightening. There seems to be a large section of the sport of this kind of hatred for the Green Brigade, and I don't know why. I think without them, the stadium would be silent, as it was the 30 minutes against Livingston. I don't think that was people taking part in a protest. I just think the atmosphere would be like that if they weren't there. The charity, what they do, is exceptional. Their displays are exceptional. And I just, there seems to, and it's the same thing, or the Green Brigade don't speak for me. They've never once signed off a statement to say that they speak for the majority of fans. If they want to protest against this guy getting a job at Celtic Park, which everybody should do, then they're well entitled. But for me, Celtic should have come out 2 weeks ago when this first got rumoured and went, just want to announce a statement, we're not employing this guy for this role. Sorry for any confusion, he's not going to be employed by Celtic. And that would have taken away the 30-minute protest, it would have taken away the tennis ball protest. But what it shows you is they are considering giving this guy the job, which is incredible, which is antagonistic. It's deliberately antagonistic. I don't know what the response for the Green Brigade would be if he does get the job, if they'll then go into boycotts. I think that would be terrible for the atmosphere, and it would just be terrible for these guys that obviously have suffered at the hands of this ex-cop or whatever he is now, who's obviously wanting people to get jailed for calling people baldy and stuff like that. It's just this, I don't know, I just find it's very Celtic board for me. How can we annoy our own fans? And I mean, the display was harmless. Nobody got hurt. A few tennis balls came in. The balls in yours court. The fans or the coppers. So I think Celtic should answer and say the fans for once. But you know what?
No, I think that's what annoyed me the most about it, Tony. Right? Was see for the silence, right? I think like you should just respect the silence. Just stay quiet for a minute. Like it's a minute out of your day. But the protest, right? The protest. Crocker and Walker were so determined to like link the two of them together when they were two completely different things, and they were not. As Dan said, there was not a mention of like the Dundee fans booing the knee, which is like, but they're quick to have a go at countries like Hungary and like other countries where fans are booing the knee quite vociferously. But with Dundee, it was kind of like, oh, Celtic fans are embarrassing, but you know, an open racism, like open cases of booing, like anti-racism things, doesn't get mentioned. And then they were trying to equate the protest to like the silence getting disrupted. And you're right, there's no context. And at the end of the day, the question shouldn't be why are the Celtic fans doing this. The question should be why are Celtic so keen to fight their fans in every term. It's just every single thing about Celtic. When things are going well, something like this happens. The club get in their own way and they think we know best. The fans don't know anything, and they just go to war with the fans when things are looking like they're going to go well. The Celtic board should be fucking chased.
Well, but the good thing for them is they have one guy that's preventing any real protest, and it's Postecoglou. Obviously, this is a real protest. I mean, there's not really any protest to sack the board at the minute, and that's because the team's performing well on the pitch. And I love how Postecoglou really does refuse to stick the boot into the fans. The media have tried every which way to get him to kind of turn on us, and managers have in the past when it's came to the kind of the minute silence stuff, but he's kind of says, ask the individuals, but they would never do that. They would never say why, but why would you not respect their silence? Because then they would probably come back with an answer that the media wouldn't like or wouldn't have a response to. So, I think the club, but the board, I mean, we've got a new CEO. We've had him for, 2 months. I don't think he's addressed the fans yet. I've not heard anything about the search for the permanent CEO. I'm assuming it will be Michael Nicholson. But no, that's something. I mean, I think it's well documented. Your thoughts on the board. We think they should be chased, as you say. They're incompetent. They're I don't know, the Tories, that different stuff. So it's a shame that they seem determined to annoy the fans. But there is a part of me thinking, is this their way to get rid of the Green Brigade? Is that what they're thinking? If we can employ Higgins, the Green Brigade will chuck it. Is that what they want? Are they wanting the Green Brigade with their way? Because obviously the Green Brigade are now kind of, I think there's 5 of them. It's obviously North Kirk, the Green Brigade, Bahoys, Celtic Shared, the Celtic Trust. They're obviously all together and kind of pushing to make changes at the club. Is this their kind of way to try and get rid of the Green Brigade out of Parkhead? I have absolutely no idea, but nothing would surprise me with them. But
You know what it's like, but they'll tell us that this guy Higgins has been a lifelong Celtic fan, blah blah, and it's a dream for him to work at a club, whereas his fucking career the last 10 years has been targeting Celtic supporters, making their lives hell. There's no justification for this man getting a job at Celtic Park.
But that's the thing, there's loads of lifelong Celtic supporters that are pricks and shouldn't be involved with the club. So I would hope that wouldn't was.
They're the ones that are running the club.
Well, there you go, or manage the club. So I think that's it. We'll get it's fun Sunday. I mean, I did find it interesting. I mean,
how dare you say that? Neil Lennon supported Liverpool growing up.
Get off me.
I was talking about Rodgers. Actually supported Man United growing up. But what was I going to say then? Oh, wait a minute. It'll come back to me. What was I going to say? What were we talking about? Bernard Higgins. Well, I was going to say, I thought it was quite interesting how the day before this got leaked that he was joining the club, that the podcast got offered a lot more access than we've ever had. I don't know if that. I've not heard it since. Funny enough, I don't know if you've been chucked off. But I'm thinking, is that them trying to get the podcast on side? If that's a point, it was won't happen. Just in case anybody's wondering.
I don't think. I think I'll be honest, Tony. I think there's a disconnect even between like the sort of media people and the board. I think they're just on fucking different planets. I think there's a lot of good people that do work at Celtic, but I think, as we've alluded to, there's a lot at the top that are just so fucking unbelievably so far apart from like your day-to-day Celtic fan. Like, this is a guy who he's an enemy of Celtic fans. His whole fucking passion in life was to try and jail Celtic fans, ruin relationships, make people lose their jobs. And that, as Danny said, you think he can fucking... They'd publish a statement saying, oh, he's a lifelong Celtic fan. And this is the guy that they were going to put in charge of fucking, like, security of Celtic fans. It's truly unbelievable. And I think what you said as well is spot on, the fact that the club still haven't addressed this. Like, we reached out to them when it first broke. We were told, oh, we don't know anything, but this is now a week and a half to 2 weeks after, and there's still not a word came from them. It could have been diffused the next morning if Celtic could have come out and fucking lied and says, oh, nah, this isn't happening, and just fucking sort of went with our tail between the legs. But it's the same as like last season when you were called like wee Neds and that when there was protest at the stadium. It's as if they're still thinking about this, thinking, oh, can we sneak this in? Like, it's as if we know better. But as you said, I don't know what the next step would be. I quite worry what it would be, because
this is what I was just to say. That's what I was getting at earlier, Dan. See the type of thing that they would do and think would sweep this under the carpet is hard enough, like a Jota announcement and a Carter Vickers announcement. So they sneak him through. There's a wee article they don't even publish on Twitter. They just put it up on the Celtic website, and then right after they announce 2 contracts.
Just a picture of Bernard at the Celtic way with Jota and Carter Vickers at either side of him.
That sounds stupid to people that run the club, but they'll think that will fly.
You'll probably see them wearing Celtic taps and try and fucking jail them.
I think, what was I going to say there? I think he's going to get the job. I've heard from people that would maybe know. Obviously, this is just speculation. I'm not in the know, but I think he's going to get this job, and I think it would just sum up the Celtic board, and I would hope that most people would just go, nah, this isn't on. I mean, I've said for a long time that big protests are well needed at Celtic Park. Obviously, off air, I've said exactly how I feel, but I'll not say it on the podcast. But I just don't get it. As Danny says, why are you so determined to fight your own fans at every turn? Why not just come out? We've often spoke about the positivity for announcements at the park. If you announce Jota signing in a 5-year deal, delighted. Carter Vickers is signing, delighted. Bernard Higgins is never going to be at Celtic Football Club. There's 3 things they could do that would massively boost the support. The away fans or the home fans at the next game, probably it's obviously going to be the final, the semi-final, are going to be bouncing. They're going to be delighted. The club's going to have listened. But I just don't think that's the way they operate. I think there'll be a part of Dermot Desmond that look at that banner that they had and went smashing. That's my guy, because that's the way he is. So you look, I mean, the protests against Lennon last year didn't really result in a change. They seem, as I say, determined to.
If anything, it just made them dig their heels in, Tony. It just made them say, fuck them. Like,
well, that was
they fans know nothing.
Well, that was the rumour that apparently Lennon was to be bagged after the Ross County game, but they didn't want to do it, to be seen to kind of bow to pressure. I thought, well, 300 people turned up. There was another couple of million at home probably want them sacked as well. So, no, it's a shame because...
So what you're saying is if we have a big welcome to Celtic Bernard Higgins banner at a semi-final, you'll get bagged.
Probably, we've nearly had our big welcome to Celtic Eddie Howe banners, and they fucked that up as well. So, but no, it's sad. Look at this. I mean, we're just after a right good away performance and good victory, and here we're talking about shite, about some fucking cop that shouldn't be getting a job. It's just so silly, as opposed to just being completely positive. But I think I speak for the podcast when I say we support the game again. Their protests are well entitled. If they want to stop the game for 2 minutes to prevent this guy getting a job who's caused such damage to their lives, then I have absolutely no issue with it whatsoever. In terms of minute silences, it's always going to be the same every year. As I say, I don't really pay much attention to it. A few days, people are scummy fans in Britain, Celtic, all that stuff, fine, whatever. I'll take that accolade, and then we get on with it, and that's fine. So.
I would just say as well, anybody that wants to know anything more about that, the North Curve Celtic podcast done a good episode on Bernard Higgins. So if you're not as aware of why some fans don't want this guy employed, I would advise you to, after you've listened to this, of course, to go there and search for North Curve Celtic, and you'll find a good episode on it. But let's end on a positive note. Danny, that's now the last 2 weeks we've gave both our fullbacks new deals. I'm coming to you because I feel the one of the two will probably try and bring it down because they don't really rate Ralston or Taylor. But it's got to be good news. They've generally been our first choice left and right back this season, so happy with it. Bit of business.
Why no? I mean, Ralston probably deserves that contract. I don't think you can deny that. I think he's done his bit. He only got a kind of year extension out of the fact that he could. I was going to say he could know how to play right back.
I know
Everybody
he
had
got
their
to before
doubts.
it, but he deserves it. And
Aye.
Danny, I know he got to before it, but he deserves it for fucking decking Charlie Adam for that goal yesterday.
Aye, I mean, he sealed it with that, didn't he? I mean, he actually set, I think he set off a part of 3 of the 4 goals out yesterday. So he's been playing well. Ralston, he's had a good season. He's apart from Kyogo, who's Jota, probably our player of the year at the minute, which is scary, but he deserved it, and Taylor deserved it as well. I genuinely couldn't believe. I think Bernard Higgins would have been better welcomed than the Greg Taylor news Friday. That was just embarrassing. Folk, like as if we'd spent like 3 million, like something daft, like £12 million on like fucking a 40-year-old or something. The way folk were going on, like you're giving a player a contract who is probably number 1 left back at the club. Whether you want to bring in a new left back or no, is people that Ralston have shown you need to have people that can play the manager's system. He's had a good start of the season. I think he toiled against Alkmaar at home, I thought, and I think in every other game he's played, I think he's been fine. And I think there's a whole lack of he's who replaced Tierney, so folk don't like him because Tierney was so good. But I don't think Taylor's that bad. I think he's well worth a couple of years. If we are going to go and sign a new left back, he's very, very capable backup. He loves being a Celtic player. I know that firsthand. He loves being in around the club, and he's really taken to it. And I think he's fits the manager's system. The manager seems to trust him. He's always name checked him whenever he's been talking about players and stuff. So I think he deserved it, and I couldn't believe the reaction. Ralston fully deserves his contract as well, and we'll probably try to stop suitors coming in for Ralston in January. He must have fought for Europe looking for him now.
I definitely agree with you. I think it's just smart business. I know some people had issues with the length of the deal, but at the same time, it's two players that have completely bought into this, and the manager, I'm sure, has sanctioned it as well. So, you can't be wanting Ange to sign players from the J League, but not wanting them to give players like Taylor and Ralston a new deal when you'd like to think it's his choice. But Andy, just before we wrap up, you get anything else you want to add? What you an exciting plan for this international break?
No, I just wanted to comment the same, similar with Danny saying. Like, I've been critical of both of them, but Danny's right. Like, I think it's something that we all need to concede. We're not going to go and sign two fucking left backs. It's just not going to happen. But one, I can see, and I do think we will go and sign a left back. But I'd be happy enough with Greg Taylor being the understudy. But even at the start of the season, he fitted the system that Ange wants to play fairly well. Sort of coming inverted and coming inside. He's comfortable enough on the ball. He's more comfortable on the ball than Ralston in that sense. If people want to look at it like that, who are obviously bigging Ralston up. So to play the system, it's fine by me. It's not as if we're fucking strapped for cash and meaning that giving him a new deal means we can't go and sign another one. That's not how it works. But I think the manager's looked at two players. Ralston, again, I've been highly critical of the boy, but he's impressed. He didn't really have to do much to impress, but he's impressed nonetheless. And he's listening, he's learning, he's improving his game massively. So again, happy enough with that. If hopefully we get to January, and as I say, we get another fullback in who can play on the left side, then you're then sitting with, right, we've got Juranovic and Ralston. Yeah, Juranovic will be the starting right back. Ralston, you're happy with him to be the second choice. And then again, left hand side, hopefully we go and make the right signing in our left back. And then you've got Taylor once he's back from injury, and we're no sort of throwing like young Montgomery and things like that in, because it's just been a detriment to that boy. At times I struggle to watch just out of knowing where the potential damage it can be doing. Like, at times he's not a left back, and we were having to throw him into high pressure games. In a position he obviously doesn't play. I mean, I was watching him play left back for us, and then he played for the Scotland under-20s almost 5 days later, playing out wide left as a winger, and he was brilliant. And I was like, you've got to play these players in their positions, but we were sort of forced into that. That wasn't really anybody else's fault other than the board for no resolving that issue at fullback. But I don't think anybody can have any real complaints about it. It's just a bit of full outrage, to be honest. There's no real reason why we shouldn't get them tied down. They'll be well aware. But, I mean, they're not going to kick up a fuss if they go and sort of get dropped and are left on the bench. They're not the type of people, they're not the type of players. So it's happy enough for me, because it's quite obvious that ball and goalie's sort of done at Celtic, and I would imagine we're sort of doing everything we can to offload him in January. So again, we're really not left with any options there. We've had a Croatian international right back playing left back because of the situation that we're in when Taylor got injured. So it makes sense for all parties. And I think, as you said that 2 seconds ago, Dan, listen, I trust the manager and whoever he wants to sign for Japan and for Asia, but that means I also trust the manager. If he wants to give players who are already at that club a new deal, then I trust him to make the right decision. So if he wants it, then give him it, and that's absolutely fine by me.
Aye, definitely. I think, as you say, a lot of people, even this podcast especially, didn't think Ralston had it to make it at Celtic, but his numbers themselves speak for himself even this season. I think it's 5 goals in a great number of assists as well. And good luck to him. I think once Taylor's back, you'll have a good battle for the right back spot between Ralston and Juranovic. And then, just for the reasons you said, I think the three behind Greg Taylor, you've got question marks out all three, whether it be Scales because he's very untested, Bolingoli because the manager doesn't seem to fancy him, and obviously Montgomery's really young as well, and some people think he's merely a forward type player. So it's something that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, I know I've been linked to a few, so it would be good to see more competition in the left back spot. But happy for both and wish them well. But I think that'll just about do us for this episode. We will be back at some point next week before Celtic are back in action, unless Celtic do something stupid like employ Bernard Higgins. We might be back before then. But if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening, and remember to subscribe to YouTube. Just search for 4Tims a podcast, and anywhere you get your podcast, any reviews and likes always help us grow as well. So thanks very much. Cheers.
While our mums got talking in the village store, I was 3, you were 4. You look lovely, that's for sure. Just something about you. Together we went everywhere. You scratched my face, I pulled your hair. You sent me tumbling down the stairs. Just something about you. You must have known that I want you. You must have known that I want you. Don't you? Something's happening. Written on the wall like sexy lighting this time. Come on, everything's changing, we can't hold on. We stay out drinking in the park. I walk you home after dark. I didn't mind, it wasn't far. It's just something about you. You went to university. You lost your virginity. Some more of him and less of me. Just something about you. You must have known that I want you. I want you. You must have known that I want you. Don't you? Something's happening. Written on the wall like sexy lighting this time. Come on, everything's changing, we can't hold on. Well, we're not friends anymore. I'm 23 or 24. You're still gorgeous, that's for sure. Still something about you. Now we've done it everywhere. You scratch my back, I pull your hair. We've even done it on the stairs. Still something about you. Something's happening. Written on the wall like sexy lighting this time. Come on, everything's changing, we can't hold on. Something's happening. Written on the wall like sexy lighting this time. Come